Hi friends, I'm Chelsea Grayson coming to you once again from the Office of the CEO. This is my show where I can help you be more successful in your current career, and I can also help you successfully transition to a new career. Today we're going to continue our discussion about how to transition to a new career when that new career is starting your own business. And very specifically, we're going to continue the discussion that we've been having about how to put your business plan together. So today I wanted to talk to you about the section that's normally entitled Management Team. When I draft my business plans, I actually call this just the team section, because for me, I include both a list of the management team and their brief bios, and I also include a discussion of who my board members are, or to the extent that I haven't put an actual board together, who are my advisory board members. So the reason I'm doing this is several-fold, because the whole point of this team section is to both show investors and show your current employees and show the marketplace generally that you have the appropriate team in place to run the operation day to day, right? To handle the meat and potatoes of operating the company on a day-to-day basis. That's your management team, right? But then you also want to show folks that you have a really good board in place, whether it's an advisory board or a formal paid board, that has the high-level skills, the long-time seasoning, and the set of historical experiences that are there if it's ever necessary for the management team to call upon them for big picture advice, for high-level advice, for we've run into this snag, have you ever seen something like this before? That's the point of having a skilled, high-level, seasoned advisory board or board of directors, right? So you can call on them for their seasoning and for their deep experience. They're not there to run the business day to day, but they're generally older, they've been in the industry, or they've had all sorts of experience in some way or another that substantively connects with your business. And so you want folks on the outside to see that not only can you run the business day to day with your management team, but you also have this high level advice that you can call upon as necessary. Just as important in respect of listing your advisory board or your board of directors is showing that you have a group of folks that has a platinum Rolodex collectively, right? These people have a deep and wide network of connections that they can call on to the extent that something is needed for your business. And that's resources, that's outside advice, and very importantly, that's also access to capital. So these folks have connections out there that both can get your business places, but they can also help fund your business, whether it's in respect of future investments, whether it's in respect of putting you with folks that can get future investments to you, or even sometimes it's banking connections, right? Because sometimes it can be very difficult to establish deep and meaningful banking connections as a fledgling business. Sometimes it's very difficult to get loans, and your advisory board and your board of directors can sometimes give you those banking connections. So for all of those reasons, that's why when I draft my business plans, I never call it the management team section. I just call it the team section. And again, I include both my management team as well as my board, whether it's an advisory board or a board of directors. Now, just getting into the nitty-gritty of how you set up the bios for each of these folks, you certainly want to put for the management team, you certainly want to put your entire C-suite. That's what the management team is, right? So whoever it is that you've managed to get together so far, it's generally at the beginning going to be the CEO, the CFO, or sometimes if your business is really young, that'll be somebody like the accounting director, or somebody else, the controller, somebody else in that function. If you don't quite want to give them the title CFO yet, you'll certainly have somebody like a CTO or a CIO, particularly if it's a tech business. That's the chief information officer or the chief technology officer. That's much more than just an IT director, of course, and we can talk about that a little bit later. If any of you guys have questions about that, please drop it in the comments and I can do an episode about that. You might have a general counsel. You might have a chief operating officer, the COO. We've talked a little bit about how the C-suite is comprised in past episodes, so I won't get into it too deeply here. Whoever your management team is and whoever your board of directors is, you certainly want to get into a little bit about what their job history has been, maybe what their education has been, if they're young enough and education still matters. At some point you get to a point where nobody cares where you graduated from college or what degrees you've got. But if they're young enough, then education might matter, especially if they don't have as much experience right now to fill up a paragraph, because you only want to draft a paragraph here, but it's got to be a really punchy paragraph. You certainly want to talk about what their special area of expertise is, because here you want to weave in a very direct way what you are expecting from this person. So from their job experience and from their general set of expertise, what are you expecting this person to drive for your business? Is it excellence in technology? Are you expecting them to generate mass amounts of revenue? Are you expecting them to help you keep costs down and therefore increase your EBITDA? Are you expecting them to help you attract talent? So is this a CHRO and their special skill is that they know about incredible talent and they know how to recruit talent and then keep that talent once they're there by providing all sorts of investment in those folks' career development? Whatever it is, you want to talk generally and in a very succinct way about what things you expect them to devote to contribute to your business so that folks understand why they're on the management team. And finally, every once in a while, especially if it's a very young business, you might want to include a little something personal, right? Particularly if this is a business plan that you're going to be using to shop for investments in the company, or even in respect of getting a loan. You sometimes want to add a little bit of the human element so that the reader can be confident that the team has all the skills it takes to take this business to the next level and to make it very profitable. But you also want to tie it back into these are people are at the root of this business. They really care about this business at a very human level. You want to personalize it a little bit for the reader, because on a very subconscious level, once they establish that personal connection with your team, they'll be much more inclined to invest in the company, to give a loan to the company, or even to come work for the company if you're talking about, potential talent. Because listen, let's face it, at base, people are your most valuable asset. I don't care what kind of company you're putting together. I don't care what kind of business this is, what industry you're in. People are your absolutely most valuable asset. You're going to spend the most on those people. You're going to invest a lot of time developing their careers at your company. You want them, if they cut their veins open, to bleed the DNA of your company 24/7, especially again, if it's a new company, it is going to be a 24/7 job, as we all know in respect of startups. And so you want to know, not only can you depend on your folks, but you want outside readers to see that you've put together a really special collection of people that will be there for the business, and that in particular, especially if you're in a very competitive field, that it's this team that will distinguish you from the pack, right? So you might have a lot of competition. Your product and services might be relatively similar to what's out there in the marketplace already. But what's going to make you pull ahead of the pack is the team that you've pulled together. And that's, again, both your management team as well as the folks that have agreed to serve on your board of directors or on your board of advisors. So again, that's the team section of your business plan. Do not ignore this section. Don't save it for last. Come to it with fresh eyes. It's very important. I would put it right at the top, right after the executive summary. For me, that's where I would generally put it in my business section. Don't let anyone tell you that this is not an important section, that it's a throwaway section, that no one ever reads it. People read it very carefully. I know I do when I'm considering investing my own money in startup businesses. So you ought to pay a lot of attention to it. Again, this is the place where you're listing facts about your most important assets. That's your people. So thanks again for watching. Please drop a like, drop a comment, and let me know what you thought about this episode, and let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about in future episodes. Please make sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss a future episode. And I'll see you next time from the Office of the CEO.